The economy of Kenya, and I am glad that I came early. I have sat here and I am very, very proud of our country, Kenya, and the people in this hall. Thank you very much, DJ ameongeza sauti kidogo. Because seated here, listening to what all the speakers who came here are doing, I realized that we are in a very good country and that support should go to where it matters most. And the kind of support that can be rendered to the people in this hall, definitely none would go to waste. Because I have seen a diversified stakeholders dealing with the subsector. But more importantly, it actually also opened my mind that albeit late, I should also become a stakeholder and start making money from avocado. Our county, I was told, is among the best, actually the best, because I come from Murang'a County. Na nimeona nalala kwa kazi. Lazima pia mimi niingie hapa nitafute pesa. Nimeona iko. By the kind of speeches I saw here and listened to, msishangae next time hata mimi kabana yangu itakuwa pahali. And I wish many more Kenyans were listening. We were actually live on our channels because I have learned a lot. In fact, you call me as a speaker, I have benefited more from listening than from speaking, because I have seen, and talking to the people I got the opportunity to talk to, there is good return here than even buying plots, as I always keep saying. And there is much more value here, and especially by bridging the value chains. And that brings me to my first point. The Kenyan economy is inagawanywa mara tatu. Is in three aspects. One aspect we call it primary production. The second one we call it secondary production. Primary production is everything in raw form, from agriculture, from mining, from fisheries, anything that is produced in raw form. Agriculture is number two. Secondary production is number two, which is more or less manufacturing, together with the value chains around manufacturing. And the third one is service. Now, this is the funny thing about how our economy is and productivity. What we call agriculture, that is raw form, accounts for around 18% of our GDP. 18% of what we produce per year is produced in primary production. That is farming, not just agriculture, farming itself, because agriculture has a longer value chain. Farming, minerals, fisheries, forestry. Asilimia 18. Manufacturing accounts for manufacturing together with the associated value chains. Accounts for 17%. But manufacturing alone, if you remove all the other value chains around it, it is a double digit. Is around 8%. So service industry accounts for 65% of our GDP. What am I trying to say with all these issues I'm talking about? Imagine agriculture, the raw form of our production. It's not just farming. Agriculture, in the economic sense, incorporates including fisheries and the rest, as I have stated. That 18% of what we produce employs 70% of the entire rural population. Because the rural population in Kenya, 70% are engaged in especially agriculture itself, farming. Then it shows that there is very low productivity in agriculture. What our parents do, rearing a cow, what we also do raw agriculture, per person, what comes to your pocket as productivity is too low. And there is no economy in the world, including the many popular economies now in Kenya. The economies now we are referring to often. From the growth of UK, US, Japan, Asia, Asian tigers, there is no economy, even one, that has a case that we study, that this country became first world, and this company became developed because of agriculture. And I am very proud that in this hall, that has already sunk, because I've seen beyond farming avocado, farming parties in the farm. Beyond that, I have seen we are trying to bridge the value chains around it. Even if we are selling a lot of it in raw form, at least there is something we are doing in terms of value adding. But I'm even more proud that beyond exporting the raw avocado, many of us here are actually also making oil. I am very proud of that, because when you rely on just exporting, of course you become a prisoner of seasons. Every economy that relies on pure primary production becomes a prisoner of weather, becomes a prisoner of seasons, and becomes a prisoner of what we call market prices. Market prices always affect commodities. Everything that is produced in raw form, mahidi, avocado, maharagwe, minerals including gold, any other mineral, is always affected by global prices. But when you start value adding, then you start doing some other things like branding, like blending, so that you can still sell the same thing, but you have capacity to actually determine your price. Just as it happens in coffee. That there is coffee you'll buy at this much, but there is much more, there is another that you'll buy at a much higher price. Because of branding and blending. Because you can determine your price when you jump out of just primary production. Let me stop the jargons and the economic issues. People in this hall today, I want you, when you have time, study the billionaires from Nigeria. I read about them a lot because they motivate me. Billionaires from Nigeria. Starting with Dangote himself. Please go study them, even online when you have time. Study how they started. Study a guy called Absuamad. He has a company called BUA Group. Please, because I've seen what you're doing, go study those two cases. How Dangote started and how BUA is a group of companies which now they are in many sectors. The reason I'm saying this, these two gentlemen, both of them started from agriculture. Dangote started from agriculture. The base of Dangote we know now, the richest black African there is in the world, started in this hall today. The refinery he's building, the base of Dangote refineries is agriculture. BUA started from agriculture. Now he's doing a refinery. He has, of course, BUA cement. Both of them are also in cement industry. But the money they got from agriculture is the one that catapulted from to where they are. But how do they do it? You make money from agriculture. You make money. All of us here are in agricultural value chain. Even if you are an exporter, you are within agriculture, unless you start value adding to a higher scale. Because the agricultural value chain is long. Actually, farming accounts for less than 25% of agricultural value chain. So if you are a farmer, you are doing 25% of agriculture. So what Dangote and BUA started, they started with farming, expanded to what many of you are doing. You already have contracted farmers, went further to value addition, normal things like what you are doing in oil, like what you do with the hens, what the hens do, craft hens, like flour, unga. There is even a company called Dagote Flour and BUA Flour. So that value chain of agriculture, they capitalized, made money. But this is the thing. After making money, they stopped seeing money as a possession. That is what most of us do, including myself. When you make money and you are an exporter and you have made money in your bank account, you have 20 million, you have 1.5 million, you have 100 million. What do we do most times? We start now seeing this money as a possession. I own it. It's my money as a possession. When you view money as a possession, your route of growth becomes very thin. You must start seeing money as capital for additional production. And we stop seeing money as a possession. I keep talking about real estate. Everyone here has a house, maybe where we live, whether you own it or whether you are renting. So I'm not against real estate. I always, even here, if we sample, Sahi, all these people with these banners, the side hustle they are doing, hakuna mtu hana ploti analipisha pahali. In this hall, there is no table without a representation of a person, either with a plot, a flat, or a person thinking of one, or kasaba kidogo. Because I've made so much money this season, so the next thing, I am going to buy a piece of land. Remember, not a piece of land to farm, a piece of land maybe to speculate. I'm not even against real estate. What I'm saying is that when we see money as a possession, we look to possess things. We look to possess something, to possess a piece of land, to possess just something to see. But it becomes a very slow path of growth. Because a higher route of growth is the one that Dagote took and the one BUA took. After making this money in farming, and you have added value now, you can say you are in agriculture. You have actually gone past farming. You are now going to manufacturing, and you are becoming bigger. You must see this money as capital to do something more, to produce, not to put it aside as a possession. Am I saying anything? I am also talking to myself. So I'm not just talking to you. That is one of the things that if we want to become like Asian tigers, we have to stop obsessing with possessions. Because Dagote had already made enough money to possess so much, a flat in Dubai, a flat in wherever, a flat in wherever else. He already had that capacity through maybe Dagote Flour ya kusiaga uga. But then he saw this money not as something to possess, but something to create more value. But in the process, it becomes self-fulfilling. Self-fulfilling how? You make money. After you make money, because you don't possess it, unaiwachilia itafuta ingine, then in the long run, you end up actually possessing even more. But your goal was not to possess. So let us invest whatever we are having in still expanding our value chains within what you are doing, but also expanding to other things. You are dealing with avocado. You can exhaust the entire value chain of avocado. You can exhaust the entire value chain, but then start also branching to other things that are related, and you keep on adding more products. Again, add more value to those products. And then from there, you can even go not from just vertical, you can go horizontal. And then you venture into other industries, just like those two gentlemen. And as you do so, and I said I'm having a short speech, as you do so, now you are graduating, you are talking about You started with 5 million shillings. You are doing turnovers of 100 million. You are climbing higher. And you are climbing higher. We expand our horizons on where even to get financing. If I ask in this hall, where do we get our money to expand? Majority of us is in commercial banks. But if you started the Nigerian model, forget about the Nigerian economy. The fact is that Nigeria has the highest concentration of billionaires in Africa, black ones. So there is something to learn there. Niko wapi? Niko nasema nini? Nione kama nitamaliza tu kuongea saa hii pengine. Who can tell me who I am? Eh? Where? Where, bro? Kwanza hako kwa billionaire hamsahau sana. But what was I saying about them? Can somebody tell me what the point I was trying to derive? Nione kama it is too late to give a long speech. No, I had already finished about possessions. Can somebody tell me, yes? Very good. Please clap for him. It was about financing. If I ask in this hall today where we get our money, majority of us is commercial banks. But do you know at a certain scale, you can get money from regional lenders. Dagote is where he is because of Afrexim Bank. BOA is where they are together with Dagote because of African Finance Corporation. Some of them are people I know. They are actually looking for people to fund at definitely a lower rate than the market commercial bank rate. Please, let's also look at that kind of thing so that it's not just commercial banks. There are other people who can give you money even as an entrepreneur with better rates so that you also leave commercial banks graduating the other people to reach where you are. Ukifika pahali fulani, ulizia offices are Afrexim Bank, and I'm not campaigning for them. It's because it is a real model that has worked. AFC and such kind of regional lenders and regional financiers who can catapult you now where commercial banks can't. Very lastly, and I've seen my brother from Kefis is here, and we have always said this, our commercial attaches, forget about commercial attaches, our ambassadors in Kenya, they must start having a scorecard based on how much market they look for the Kenyan products. I mean, a thriving country or a growing country or a growing economy like Kenya, you can only grow through wealth. Diplomacy is fine, but we must start judging them by how much business they give to the people in this hall and the others like you. So that we are left doing what we need to do in terms of producing, but there is somebody else also doing their best to create robust markets so that we always perpetually are not having a problem with where to take what we have. Very lastly, I always talk about investments, which I can talk about in 2 minutes. After we make money in what we do here actively, where do we take our money passively? You must have heard me somewhere talking about it, but because you were not there, let me paraphrase it because I don't even think you did anything after listening. You know, even me sometimes I read a magazine, let's say Forbes magazine, Fortune, and I keep telling myself, I must stop reading for fun. And I must stop listening for fun. You know, a thrill of the moment. You watch Brumac TV, you watch CNBC, you read Forbes, you read Fortune magazine, but to be exhilarated, I keep reminding myself, the reason for gaining knowledge is not for me to be excited. It is for me to improve something about myself. So that's why I'm saying, I know even after listening to that video, not many of us did anything about it other than being happy. Passive investments is not just buying a plot of land. I keep repeating that. And my brothers and sisters in real estate, you are doing a good job for giving us a place to build our homes. But we must reorient our capital. And I keep saying, the stock market in Kenya is grossly undervalued. And that is why maybe I was talking about Safaricom. Take a company like the one, unasemanga maneno mingi. Take Kenya Power. I'm not campaigning for them, but reason with me. This company, if you bought it, if all of us in this hall, we bought Kenya Power today, ikuwe yetu sisi tuko hapa, we would spend 24 billion shillings. 24. The entire value of the company. Last financial year, not last, hii imeisha June ya this year, they made 24 billion in net profit. Ebu muache kuniangalia hivyo, you first internalize what I'm saying. I was talking to Django, nikamuuliza machini kama hii ya nini, hizo machini tulikuwa tunaonyeshwa, nikinunua, Mudhomi, I'm actually finishing. Nikinunua hii machini, inanirudishia pesa yangu after how long? Nilikuwa namuuliza, kaniambia around 3 years. Nikaona maybe for diversification I can do it. But listen again carefully. This is a company that if we bought it in this hall today, you see the way government is selling Safaricom. Tuseme sisi kama Avocado Association, vinye tu munauza hiyo, tuuzieni hii. Na vile mumeuza hiyo na hasara, mkiangalia shares, mtuuzie hivyo hivyo. Tutanunua Kenya Power sisi wote. Avocado stakeholders will buy Kenya Power for 24 billion shillings. Are we together up to there? They made 1 year profit, 1 year, net profit of 24 billion. Just tell me where in the world you get such an opportunity. Take a company, and I'm not, when I give you this, I tell you to go read. Don't buy because Ndindi Nyoro said anything. I am just urging us to read and study because it doesn't take long to know all these things I'm talking about. Take any company, including KCB. KCB this year, by the way, by how they release their Q3 results, they will not make less than 60 billion in profits. 60 billion in profit 1 year net. But the evaluation today, if you bought the entire KCB, it would cost you less than 220 billion, meaning less than 4 years of their net profit, you have your money back. Take any other. Let me give the last one. Let's say, you can choose any because the market is undervalued anything you touch. Take insurance company, Kenya Re shares, if you bought all of them today, you would spend, let's say, 17 billion shillings. Hiyo kampuni ikuwe yako. They have no loan. They have zero loan. But the cash and cash equivalent meaning the money they have fixed in the bank or the money in treasury bonds and bills, and they have no loan, they have 41 billion shillings in cash and cash equivalent. That tushikane sahi, tuchukue loan, we buy Kenya Re at 17 billion, then ikikuwa yetu tumepewa key, tunafungua kampuni hivi, ndani kuna cash ya 41 billion. Then we take 17 to repay bank, tuachwe na hii ingine ni yetu. I'm just saying figuratively, there are many opportunities in investing in the NSC. And I have taken it upon myself to talk to you until you get bored. That there are opportunities in the capital markets. Because when we all concentrate on the capital markets and we develop our capital markets, we are making Kenya a significant hub of capital flow. Capital flow means we then make people to realize there is a market called NSC. When there is a market called NSC, which is part of the global markets, When you in your company wants to raise money, you just be listing your company in the NSE. Even as an SME, there is a category. You list, instead of getting a loan, you sell a stake of 25% in the NSE, you raise 500 million, you expand your company, the people who bought your shares grow, you also grow, and the market grows. All these economies, South Korea, Singapore, US, UK, they grew out of the abundance of capital. And because they had a capital market which is having inflows which can be absorbed. But our NSC now has many opportunities, but us here who live in Kenya can't, because we are not taking advantage of them, then the market continues to be dampened. So we all lose out. Thank you very much. May God bless you.